This is Sport Night Amplified with Andile, powered by SABC Sport. Exclusive to Metro FM. Game over.
I would never sell a game. Anybody and everybody that knows me would know that I would never sell a game. I would rather be poor with nothing than to sell a football match. I would never do that. And I would like to clear something also, Andile, if you give me the opportunity, because my interview yesterday, I heard this morning to the post-match interview maybe 100 times. I said, I am not happy with the performance of the first half, but there is no words whatsoever, and I challenge anybody that says that, there is no words whatsoever that I say the senior players sold the game. Because what this has done, Andile, is it has created a rift between me and the senior players, and that's what I've been dealing with the whole day.
Our kickoff is Ncube, who is the coach of Pretoria Callies. We spoke to him yesterday under allegations that his team potentially could have, and we didn't allegate anything. Yeah, but hey, you guys were allegating. No, we didn't allegate anything. We asked questions to say, hey, it was very unlikely that what happened, but it happened. How did it happen? And then we took his interview and we asked him based on his interview. Seemingly, the chairman who was listening to the show was very unhappy with what he heard. So the chairman is here. He says, Andile, this is my team, my reputation, the reputation of my team. I can't just let this narrative that a game was sold just go. I want my right of reply and response. And you know, in this show, we give it to you. Sitting next to me right now is Moses Malada, Pretoria Callies chairman. He says, Andile, I can't let my brand, which I've worked so hard for, go down like that. I want to speak my piece too. We had the coach yesterday, and you might remember, it was a cordial conversation, but it was one I didn't leave feeling fulfilled. So hopefully today, the chair will set the record straight. Well, if you're wondering why the chair is here, let me give you the background story. Over the weekend, there were many games playing, but 3 matches were being watched with hawk's eyes, really, because they were an integral part of who it is that's going to get automatic qualification into the DStv Premiership. One of the teams happened to be playing your team, Pretoria Callies, and it happened to be Polokwane City. In that match, you lost 4-0. 4 goals scored in the first half, which is very unlikely when you look at what's happened, the trajectory of how you've been playing this entire season. A lot of people were very woeful of, hey man, this does not seem like the right thing. But eyebrows were raised after Ncube, who is the coach of your team, then went on to television and said, he doesn't recognize the team that played in that first half. He doesn't understand. He doesn't see what happened. That was not his team. And in what he said, there was insinuations, and it rose from us watching and listening to him, questions about whether the game was sold or not. We had him on the show here yesterday. We spoke to him about that, and he equivocally said he knows nothing about that. If it was sold, it's got nothing to do with him in particular. What in that conversation do you feel you needed to come add?
Yeah, I think when you talk of a team like Pretoria Callies, like how you started our the show, it's not a small team. So I guess that's why it stole the show of the weekend as the team that people had expected a lot from it, because it's a big brand. But otherwise, what the coach said, I think it emanates from a whole lot of issues towards the build-up to Polokwane game, because I think he expected to finish the league into the top 8. I think that was one of the things that we asked him to do and the team. And secondly, given his character and what I know about him, he's not a loser. He doesn't like losing, and he will always take players to task. And for a couple of times where we have sat with players and try to encourage them and try to get players to not get tempted to this kind of issues as he had reflected. But and I remember even at halftime, like he said, he went to the dressing room. He never said a lot of things. All he did was just to, make the changes. But I had a word with players, which was a very harsh word in terms of them.
Is this at halftime?
Yes, it's halftime. In terms of them not really giving the performance in as much as we would have known them to do, because remember, we have been known to spoil the show. And our expectation going to Polokwane game was that we're going to put the performance in as much as we have done with Cape Town Spurs, in as much as we have done with Kashrik. But the results and the type of play that the players displayed was really not satisfactory to all of us. But it doesn't really suggest that we are saying players have solved the game. It could have been the pressure of the game, because we expected them a lot from them, and people were already talking a lot of things. And I think this thing of selling games was even spoken about before the game was played, and which was a bit disturbing with players. I remember at some point we played La Masia and we lost the game. And we were not happy with the performance.
We appreciate your company between 6 and 7 when we do come on as Sports Amplified with Andile, correcting some wrongs or maybe just further going into the matter of what happened over the weekend. It was a big game. It was a game for qualification for one team and the other trying to get into the top 8. But what ended up happening is, we saw 4 goals being scored in the first half. Heard the coach's comment at the end of the match, and it raised eyebrows. The chairman, after we had the coach on the show, said, "No, Andile, I need to come in because this is my blood, sweat and tears. This is the money that I've sunken into this. This is the reputation of not only a huge giant in South African historically football, but also me, my company and myself." So he's here. Pretoria Callies chairman, Moses Malada, is with us. But Moses, you're still speaking. I want you to finish so that when I do come in,
yes,
we can then have a bit of a. But you were saying
definitely. So yeah, I was literally talking about the game that we played against La Masia. And La Masia was in the verge of, joining the likes of TTM and Black Leopard, and we lost that game, and it saved La Masia. So it looked like from certain quarters of the football people, like something has happened, and then that gave us, in so uncomfortable situation where we thought we need to guard against elements like that if these things are there in football, if they really exist. And we went as far as creating declarations where players had to sign declarations of saying, should they be found guilty of any such wrongdoings, they should be taken to task. We even tried to do declarations of players if they were approached or they were tried to be lobbied around those lines, they need to fill up the form and declare that such kind of issues. So it shows, and these things are there in proof. I can show you when they have signed all these players to do that. So I am thinking that when the coach raised this issue, it has emanated from all these things that we have went through as a process of us guarding against players not getting tempted to do these things. And the reason probably why he would have raised senior players, Andile, come on. I mean, a young player who just started playing, who is just seeing the career starting, would not really be tempted. Even if someone was to speak to him about these things, he would not really even want to entertain. But with experience as you move on in football, you have traveled, people. So it's kind of looks like it's convenient, or it could be easy for people to say things to you that you might also be tempted, because we're talking about players that really in this league, very well. Me and you have been chatting earlier on. There's not quite a lot of money, and these guys are not really well paid. So temptation could be there, but that doesn't really mean the game over the weekend was sold. And I think the coach was just trying to highlight into that. That's why he was even saying to you, he never said the game was sold. And I also listened to his clips. I think what he said was that you can only speculate, and that word, I think, is the one that got a lot of things mixed up.
So I want to do something I did with the coach when he came on.
Yeah.
A lot of people in football might not know who Moses is and what the integrity of Moses is. Moses, have you never been approached to sell a game? Have you never been approached to say, hey, how do you feel about doing us a favor here? Has that never happened to you personally? And have you never sold a game?
I'm always very sensitive towards my reputation as a person. And I come from a background wherein it's a Christian background for a very respectable church in the country. Wherein whenever I do things, I always think my church is watching me, or my ancestors is watching me. and I'm here in this game to stay. I don't want to taint my image through such. And at what price would I have sold the game, or at what price would I sell the game? Because nobody has ever told me the price. I mean,
so you've never been approached either?
No, not definitely.
But from what you said a little bit earlier, with what happened in the La Masia game, having players sign declarations, then can you and I agree that these things do happen? They could even be happening at your club without your knowledge?
As a chairman of a team or any other person who is leading a company, you would not really play dumb. You would always want to be step ahead of any eventualities, whether things are happening or whether they're not happening. And hence, when I heard of such possibilities of those kind of things, and I said to guys, this is what we need to do, and we need to do it quickly, so that I don't become naive and say these things don't happen in football. I mean, it is not about selling the game per se. It is also, we have heard rumors about referees being bought and whatnot, and which is really beats me, because if we were to concentrate on why the team lost 4-0, so therefore the team has been bought, there have been so many incidences throughout all these games. We have seen a red card withdrawn. Was it by mistake? Was it intentionally? Was it unintentionally? Nobody's talking about those things.
We spoke about it on Monday. We definitely touched on it.
But I'm just saying, it never really received attention in as much as what was said about us losing the game against.
But are you agreeing with me, Chair, that there is a possibility, there is a window, unbeknownst to you or otherwise, that game could have been sold? Can we agree on that? That there's no way you can say categorically that never happened?
I tried to go back and, I watched that same, even when I was coming, I was watching it on my iPad. And I did not see any mistake that happens in football that will suggest that the game was sold.
The coach did. The coach goes on to say, and we're going to play it now. Malcolm, if we can please play, the coach speaking about the back passes that were made, the team never looking like it wants to go forward and score. He mentioned all of those things. This is Andile Kopo. Let's start with the one where he says, we didn't look like we have intentions to score.
But first half, I have no words. Even at half time, I never said anything. I just made the substitutions and I said, when something is written on the wall, it's written on the wall. We just go and play and we deal with what we have to deal with at the end. We played every ball backwards. we looked to be so hesitant. We made very, very poor errors. Even the first goal, the positioning, how the goalkeeper goes. We made very, very bad errors. That it makes one think.
So, according to him, there were definitely errors that were not football-like. There were definitely errors that didn't make sense. There were balls that didn't make sense. He recognized them. He saw them in that first half.
But Andile, like I'm saying, those are football errors. I'm yet to be convinced that there was an error that is outside the football kind of play. And like I'm mentioning that when I relook into the game and the goals that were scored, I just think that we were caught flat. We were not as performing as what we would have.
All 4 times, Chair.
Of what we would have been wanted to. And these things that I'm saying to you, and when I was mentioning the other game that we played, was that every time when you are running a business like football, every time when this kind of season comes, you would hear of all these stories. So that is the reason why we were even saying, let's us deal with this situation so that if at all it happens, then we also have a leg to stand on, or we can actually be at a point where we can defend ourselves. Because even these players that are saying that you might be suspecting or we might be talking about, there's no concrete proof that we can put it to that, given how they played. It's like when we were after the game, when we were talking to them it was just like, we just had a bad game, Chairman, and it is not in our character to lose 4-0. And
Chair, did you not think at any point? Honestly, you're telling me not at any point did you, Andile Kopo, when he was here, spoke about the messages that he was getting as well to say, hey, what's going on? So did you not at any point during that first half think Bafana Baba is the game? At any point?
It's quite even tricky, because had they lost the game at first half, that would not have guaranteed Polokwane City anything. Had Kasrik won its game, had Cape Town Spurs won its game, what was going to happen to that 4-0?
Yeah, but you do what you do. You
Nothing.
do what's within your with your powers.
So if you're saying the players have sold the game. Would have probably even players at tax would have a hand in it.
Because you didn't think about it?
Would have a hand in it. No, I didn't look at it like that.
You never thought that?
I was angry to the fact that we have never lost 4-0. And I know my team to be performing to a point where even at our worst situation, when we did not have to beef up the squad from the first round, we had never lost 4-0. So I was worried about that with the performance. But probably some of them when I was engaging was like, probably we are homesick. Probably it's our last day because tomorrow we had to leave to our respective homes and stuff and all that. But I'm yet to be convinced somehow with the kind of play that they have displayed, bad as it is, that here, you see, he kicked it intentionally so that it could result into a goal. I didn't see that, Andile.
So he didn't think about it?
No, I didn't think about it.
Not for 1 second?
Not for 1 second, because to me, I've dealt with it. It's done and dusted. Hence, I'm saying we even had to say after the game of La Masia, we even have to say, please, guys, bring us your 3 months bank statement so that we see.
But that is you suspecting it. That is you
it's
saying,
not me. If
I'm asking for a 3 months bank statement, it's me saying, let me verify and make sure that you're not.
It's not me really suspecting. It's me trying to deal with what could come out as something that would be bad into the game. Because I'm saying after we lost, that's when I begin to hear about these things to say players sometimes can sell the game.
Yeah, but
and I'm like,
if you believe that your players didn't because of the way you watched them, you don't even ask for the 3 months. Because you're like, no, I saw the game, mine didn't. The mere fact that you asked for the 3 months, does that then not say that, hey, this could be a thing within my club?
In any work situation, Andile, and I'm sure even here you do it, people get vetted so that you know what kind of people you're working with. So that in the future you don't have to doubt people because somebody looks somehow. Because we're different as people. We can't go back to the apartheid times where an ugly old woman is a witch. And we always hunt witches because we look at them and we think this is one. So that was the process that I'm telling you to say the team had to go under so that these players can see that we mean business, so that they don't get tempted, so that we understand what is going into their banking accounts and what is not going there. Which sometimes, if you would look at it, it was a bit unfair for us to even go to that extent of getting into people's finances. But we were doing this because we wanted the integrity of the team to stay in place. We wanted the brand not to be tainted. So at the end of the day, when that happens, that people suspected, or even the coach went to an extent of saying he's thinking that probably there could be other things that motivated that, which he did not really say the players were bought. I don't think he said that.
Is the coach in trouble for his utterances that led us to thinking all of this?
No, not really.
Because I know his contract obviously comes to an end.
Yeah, definitely, but I don't think so. I think I'm one person that would not really judge people over a small incident that happened. I think the journey that we have travelled with Coach Kopo and the journey that we're still going to travel, it's still a long journey. At times when it was not popular for a chairman to stay with a coach, I stayed with Kopo when the team was losing. And the whole first round, I think we won 2 or 3 games. And the rest of the games were lost. And people were calling me, even coaches were sending CVs to say, why are you not thinking of changing the coach? But I know what the coach has done. I know what the capabilities that the coach has. For heaven's sake, we're talking about one of the most qualified coaches in the country.
I'm a big fan of Coach Kopo. And,
very well qualified.
Like I said to him yesterday, and I'll repeat it here, I don't think, knowing him, I don't think he's the kind of person that would get involved in things like this. Does he then get a contract for next season with you?
Kwanele's contract has always been green.
What does that mean?
His mandate is to take the team to the PSL, to the DSTV.
So
his job is not done unless he thinks otherwise. But with me, I never even sleep of thinking of giving him a contract or thinking of talking to him about a contract, because it was never like that. He didn't work with us when we get promoted. He worked with me when I was still at ABC League. He used to, at some point, I never had a coach. I was coaching myself, but he would come in and train the team during the day, and come weekend, I will sit down with him. We'll make a team. I'll sit in the bench and coach, and the team win, and that's it.
Lastly, there's going to be no further investigation. There's not going to be you looking into your players and looking into your team. You're burying this. You're putting it as a bad game, and you're moving on and planning for next season.
Most definitely, because we are doing a review of the whole team. So it's just unfortunate for players that did not perform well, either from this game or emanating from other games, might get a chop.
So if I see players from this game that I think Awa Tsene sits on, and the so-called senior players in inverted commas who then got substituted, if I see them not making the team next season, it's not. You're saying to me, I shouldn't insinuate that it had something to do with what happened in that last game.
Most definitely, it will just be that they were not part of the plans of the new season. Some of them would have even discussed about that. Most definitely, I'm being honest about it, because it's an exercise that we need to do, and not unless. And I'm not gonna be a chairman that will allow the coach to say, let's cut this player or let's cut that player because
of a witch hunt of some sort.
No, not definitely. We'll engage why this player should not form part of the parcel of the team that is going to compete next season, and that's how we're gonna look into issues. And believe you me, and this is what I said to players. I said to players, even if at some point whatever that is being said would have been a possibility with one of you, karma doesn't play. It will catch up with you. So that's the reason why I don't even want to go there, because I don't believe that even Polokwane would have had the courage to do that. Knowing that if Castrick win his game, it's done with them. Knowing that if Spurs is done with the game, they will not do it. So it came in.
You've got more belief than what I do.
Most definitely.
Because it's happened so many times. But I do hear you, Chair. I can't thank you enough for coming all the way to come and have this conversation. Pretoria Callies, we wish you the very best luck for next season, and your overhaul to get ready for next season as well. We look forward to see what you're going to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andile.
It's Pretoria Callies, chairman there, Moses Malada, in studio to clear things up.
This is Sport Night Amplified with Andile. Okay.